Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
One thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who act like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lied.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late, they cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High, first and foremost, above anything else. It's good to be here. Happy to see you. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. I hope that your Monday started off splendid. I hope it was calming. I hope it was rejuvenated with the Saturday and the Sunday that was given to us. Little things matter. That's all I'm saying. Count your blessings. Be grateful for the hardships. Be grateful for the trials and the tribulations. Try to find a light in the dark because it's always there. Shout outs to my poets, my writers, my content creators. Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern, the open mic will be spinning the block. So tap in, pull up. If you know somebody who knows somebody, send them over this way. Shoot me an email, shoot me a DM. You're more than welcome to join, you know. You see the title. Got a clip I'm going to play. I got the crew in the building. I'm going to bring everybody up. And we're going to get this show started. You heard? Let me see how I want to do this. All right. Yo. Let me get everybody up here. What up? Happy Monday, folks.
As well.
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Happy Monday.
Yeah. Gucci, how y'all doing?
Cool. Sydney already got a chance to meet Coach Trill, Rob. He's joining us on the panels. The last couple episodes, he's been dropping nothing but bombs over here. The energy is always right there. Natural as far as I'm concerned. I appreciate you for being here with us. Talk to me. How was y'all weekends before we get into this?
Go ahead, Sydney, ladies first.
I'm doing pretty good. Don't mind me. I just have piles of books that I haven't put back yet. So I figured while I was in here, I'd do that. Pretty good weekend. We went to the beach yesterday, which was really fun. And my kid ended up hanging out with a little girl that was also their similar age, and he enjoyed hanging out with her. So that was pretty cool to see him interact with a stranger in a kind way, inviting. Since normally I'm used to watching him and my daughter where he just like, actually, that's my toy, so I'm going to take that. So it's always good to see him in a positive light when normally I just see the typical 4-year-old behavior. But yeah, other than that, doing pretty good. I really enjoyed the poetry event. So yeah.
What about you, Rob? What's the word? How was your weekend?
Oh man, it was good, man. It was good enough to be here today. I'm a little under the weather, but we gonna keep thugging it out, you know.
All right, bro. I need to send you some Advil, some Tylenol, something. I got you covered. All right.
Nice to meet you, Coach Trev.
Yeah, for sure, man. You too, International Rob. Hey, my weekend was pleasant, man. I didn't do much. Enjoyed the weather out here in sunny San Antonio. Took some time, did some self-reflecting, and getting ready for the week. How about yourself?
Right here. I'll be right here, bro. I'm right here all weekend. Matter of fact, I do take a couple of hours off. I watch a few movies. I spent back. I watched Source Code. I watched Eagle Eye. I watched a couple of old joints though, like a lot of old joints.
Catching up on your conspiracy theories, huh?
Yeah. But look, I got a clip for y'all, man. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen. The dude, I don't know if this is a real situation or skit or not, but my man, he pulled up on his fiance having a picnic with her ex. Now, graveyard. Yeah, the guy is deceased, and she was having a whole little spread out for him and everything. He kind of went off on her a little bit. So I just want to get y'all thoughts on it because this kind of got a little wild, man. There was people who was in the comment section saying, "Oh, he's doing too much. He should be understanding." There's other people that saying he did the right thing, and I just want to kind of get y'all feel for this. So I'm gonna let this rock out, and we'll go into like a rotation. Don't matter. Oh well, Sid, I'll let you kick it off, ladies first, unless somebody else want to jump in. Y'all already know the program, so let me go ahead and play this.
Your mama house though. Yeah, you forgot I had your location. But you at your mama house though. But you having the whole picnic. You having the whole picnic. Who grave is that? Who grave is that?
Can you please put the phone down so we can talk about it?
No, who's Brandon?
Can you please put the phone down so we can
and
talk
today
about
his birthday, huh?
it?
So you want to
serious.
it ain't that serious. Why you didn't tell me you was coming up here?
Because it's not this
Why you didn't tell me you
serious.
was coming up here? All right, look, when you get done with your little picnic.
I'll just say this nice and simply for everybody to understand, right? If you know you have it in you to any degree to be jealous of somebody who is not even here on earth with us any longer, please refrain from dating anyone at all.
Teacher, I got a question. Why do we always question the guys for being the crazy one when there's literally a crazy woman right there on the ground having a picnic with her dead boyfriend, not dead husband, not dead relative, dead boyfriend. And she lied about where she was to her alive fiance. Now, I'm not saying the crash out is justified. I think this whole thing was a skit. But let's just say hypothetically, this is all real. That's not crazy. She lied about where she was going. First of all, she knew it was going to be a problem because she lied. Let's start there. If your girl say, I'm going here, I'm going to be at my mama's house, and she literally like planning to throw you off to make you think, oh, she's at her mother's house, and she's actually not there, that's a problem in itself. Also, this is the most important part of this whole situation. If you're still obsessed enough with someone who you were romantically involved with, but they died, to go and set up a picnic by yourself to memorialize them, right? You can't not love me properly. You cannot, because I don't know how many people have ever been in a situation like where you stop dating someone and you on the rebound, you talking to some other girl, but the old girl's still on your mind. You cannot love the new girl properly. You cannot care enough. I don't know about y'all, but you cannot care about the new girl properly. She get an attitude, you be like, what's wrong with you? The love of my life had left me, and I'm trying to keep it together. And just because the other guy is dead doesn't mean she doesn't feel that way. You cannot take the new guy, your fiance, serious if you're still having picnics that you're lying about going to with a dead guy. That's a problem. That cannot be it.
There you have it.
I definitely have mixed feelings about this one because it's not like this person is alive anymore. And like typically if the person is going on about their ex, it's because of the jealousy behind like, well, maybe they might cheat, they might leave me, they might still have feelings for them. But if it's somebody that had passed away, I don't think it's quite fair to, I mean, I can understand the emotions of that person who's in a relationship with the person whose partner had died. But they should give them some grace because, I mean, again, we don't know how this person passed away, but when somebody that's important to you passes away, it can take years, decades to fully get over that death. Especially if you're like very, very close to that person, romantically involved, or if it's like a parent, sister, something like that. My own friend is in a relation. She's married now. She has a kid. But when they got together, he was still mourning the death of his partner. I think he had died at least 5 years before. I think it might have even been 10 years before. And it was sudden. I think he had like a heart attack or something. But he was still in the process of mourning his partner when they got together and even into their relationships. She still had to cope with his emotions around that death, especially because he had a lot of anxiety and whatnot, as well as the mourning period. So I do find it a little suspicious that she didn't tell him that she was going, but to me, that could also be an indicator of how receptive he is towards her feelings. It might mean that he's not been open with her to express those emotions, and he hasn't been very kind to her in her response. And I feel like if somebody is in a relationship and they care about that person, they want to be with that person, they should be willing to walk with that person through those difficult emotions. Again, it's not like she's cheating. It's not like he found her at a picnic with that man. She just happened to be at his gravesite. I do think it's a little bit strange to do the picnic aspect of it. But again, I feel like a little bit more kindness should be afforded to her. And again, I don't know exactly how long it has been since they died or the circumstances in which it happened. But yeah, I feel like she deserves a little bit more grace. Just maybe in the future she should be more honest with him and maybe find other ways to express her grief than a one man picnic.
Get him, coach.
Yeah, I got. So what I replied to the video is I don't think you can tell anybody how to properly grieve, but what I can't say is what you can do is communicate effectively. So I wouldn't be blaming that man in the video. What I would think is what I would ask the question is, did she communicate properly? One, how she was feeling. Two, about the actual grieving process itself, and then if that's the way they're interacting, whether it's a skit or not, right? We could just use this to talk about in real life, in real terms. It's just everybody grieves in their own ways. You can't project the way you feel, onto someone else. So you just have to keep in mind and identify, hey, look, if you're going through a grieving process, then there should be some other avenues, right? Versus us expecting or projecting our emotional feelings onto one another. What about you, Rob? What you got?
I'm stuck on if you lied, like if she lied, like, so this is why I be needing more context. I hate to just be jumping out the window, but do they have children together? Did she take the children to a picnic? How did they end? Did they end on a good note? But back to saying that, okay, she didn't tell him where she was going. That's the only thing that really stick out for me. Because as me personally, if the guy is dead and she's mourning or whatever, if they was really in love, but if you gotta lie to me, that'll make me feel some kind of way because I would think that you love him more than me, and it just so happened that he dead. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm stuck on is good. What's going on here? What you ain't have to lie. If that was the case, if y'all was close, he could have died of cancer or something. I don't know. And I stepped up. I love you. You know what? We'll work through that. But at the end of the day, if you sneaking and going to this guy's grave, maybe resting in peace, then I ain't gonna lie, I probably feel a little funny about that.
So, real quick, I think he was a little. He handled it. He could have been a little more calm about it, right? I get the anger, right? But screaming and yelling, all of that, I didn't think that was actually necessary. The problem I have with this is the communication part. I think everybody pretty much agrees on that part. Because I'm looking at this situation and you getting involved with this woman, clearly there's some details and some information that's been left out in the dating process, in the vetting process. We ask, what's your favorite color? What you like to eat and stuff like that. We don't ask about your credit score. We don't ask if you suffer from any type of trauma. We don't ask those real difficult questions at the beginning. We tend to kind of ease our way into those things later on, which I think is a real problem. As far as I'm concerned, you should just rip the Band-Aid off. But this is a piece of that discussion that was missing. I guarantee she never brought this up before. And if she did bring it up, she was very elusive about how real and how serious it was. So that's where I'm looking at it like, okay, so you didn't feel like you could come to me and talk to me about this? Like if if you're my fiance or I'm taking you serious, I need you to know that this is all or nothing. We're 100% in this. You have to be able to tell me about your blood type. I need to know when you're constipated. I need to know when you have all types of issues with your body. Like we have, like if especially if I'm considering putting a ring on your finger and walking down the aisle with you, I have to know the most intimate parts of you. Now, if you feel at some juncture that you have to withhold from me, that's a red flag. And I'm gonna note that, and I'm going to have it in the back of my mind. Like, I don't know if I can really trust this person or really invest in them like that. So those are my initial thoughts on it. I yield the mic.
How much do you think this reflects on him? Because I do wonder, I don't think it's completely one-sided. I do suspect that there's elements of him not being a good listener. Just from my own personal experience, like men who are not, what's the word I want to use? Suspicious, I guess. They tend to have their own trauma that's based out of. Like, people generally aren't just suspicious just because. Usually there's something that has happened in their past, something that has been grown into them because of their family, how they were raised. It could be a number of things, but I do wonder how much of it is him projecting onto her and his own like insecurities. Because as I said, I do find it very strange that she didn't feel comfortable saying that to him. And just like, if I was in her shoes, just kind of imagining how that would go with my husband. If I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. Obviously none of my exes are dead, but like, if I was just like, I'm going to go visit my ex at the cemetery, that would not go over well. He would probably think I had gone crazy. He would like, he would seriously sit me down and be like, no, this is not going to work. I need to understand why this is happening, why you're thinking this way. And it is kind of rooted in his insecurity. He's had his issues because of his life and what he's gone through. And so I would understand that some of it is that, and it's not completely his jealousy over this ex. So I do again wonder how much of this is her and how much of this is him, because again, it's not a one-way street. She's acting in response to how he responds, and of course he's acting in respect to her response as well. So it makes me wonder if they have communication issues in other areas, just like you said, Mel. They, like, in relationships, you are literally intertwining your whole life. Like, you should be willing and open to being vulnerable, whether that's exposing the symptoms that you're feeling in your body or insecurities that you're feeling in your intimate relationship with them, your openness about discussing emotional traumas, your willingness to be upfront even with uncomfortable topics. If you can't have that with your partner, that's not a very solid relationship. Any relationship that has trust issues right off the bat is not going to last long unless those two people are willing to learn about where that comes from and work on it together. When you get in a relationship with somebody, you're adopting all of their trauma and they are adopting all of yours. And if neither of you or one of you does not have the willingness to understand, to work with, to change together, again, it's not going to go very far. Somebody's eventually going to hit a wall, feel like nobody's listening, feel like they are not being respected, and that does not bode well with relationships, as we see with the marriage rate right now. A lot of people are very obstinate and are basically like, it's my way or the highway. And so most people are like, all right, highway, peace out. So if they want to make progress on this issue, both of them have to be very open with where both of their feelings are coming from. And I definitely think, regardless of this issue, they have some issues in general with their communication style, and something is up, because again, that's strange to hide from your spouse. Either he is not a receptive person, or she is already not trustworthy to begin with, because she's not willing to share things that are happening.
Let me ask y'all a question.
Go ahead. My bad.
I'm gonna ask the question, and then I'm gonna give it to you. Is there a engagement if she tells him during the dating phase that she's still in love with someone who is no longer alive? Does that ring still get put on her finger?
Well, I mean, potentially, yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything's possible. But so using the question that you just said, because that happens more often than not, right? Somebody could have passed away. It could have been a childhood sweetheart. It could have been something drastic. There's widows, all over the world that continue on with life, male and female, or men and women, and they continue to move on in life at some point eventually. And to think that you could possibly compete with something like that, it's everybody has ego, so it's completely up to you. But I think, again, talking to the level of maturity of the people, everybody has emotional boundaries. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. You have to establish those in a relationship. And that comes down to effective communication. And then if you're in a relationship with something like that, I'm sure somebody's going to tell you, hey, I was previously married, or I previously had a kid. It doesn't even have to be the spouse. It can be a son, daughter, or a sister, brother. And if you choose, you make a conscious decision to be in that type of relationship with somebody, you have to understand that there's ways of handling grief. And if you don't understand that and you think you do, you're probably already in the wrong. You probably should start out by trying to seek help from a professional versus just assuming that you or that person can probably figure it out. But that's something that happens in the community, right? Because we come from places where we say we built, we hard from the streets. We've been through shit before. Whatever the case it is that you want to use, your terminology, your jargon to make you feel tougher, it's completely up to you. But people in our community don't also go out and seek guidance from people that can possibly help them. And I'm not saying therapy, because that's the buzzword right now, is therapy. But there's other things out there that we aren't necessarily educated on. Grief counselors, speaking to a chaplain or somebody that you can just vent to, help groups, different things like that. And then understanding, if you walk into that type of relationship, you got to understand that you're going to be revisiting the past. You know what I mean? It's a process. If you think somebody's just going to get over somebody just because they met you, then you probably weren't listening to the identifiers and the receptors earlier in the relationship. So again, it goes back to whoever the sender or the receiver is in that relationship. I'm not saying it's the man or the woman, but it goes back to communication and being an adult to be able to communicate those things. And to wrap it up real quick, just again, man, open communication. That means you have to be able to receive the information, understand it, comprehend it, not just shake your head, yes, I heard you, and then repeat some shit, right back to me to make you think you heard what I said. You got to be able to understand it, and you got to be able to process it. And then you got to be able to take accountability, because blaming somebody else for something that you can't, identify with, and you can't hold yourself accountable, that's also not the answer as well. Over to you, Rob. What you got?
Yeah, I know one thing for sure. When you love somebody, a lot of times you will let them get away with a lot. You're going to let them do what makes them happy. But again, the problem would be the lie part. I might go to the picnic with you. Rest in peace.
Right.
It might have been the homie. Like, yo, that's, you know, that was my friend. He might be happy we together or whatever. He won't want you to be with somebody. But at the same time, if you got to sneak to it, that becomes my problem. And I'm thinking about for like speaking to her, I'm thinking about Tupac. A lot of times, it appears they said that a lot of the girls were still in love with him when he died. They went and got married, right? But their true love was Pac. I'm looking at I'm thinking about the movie. There's a couple little movies like that. If it's not Menace to Society, he wasn't dead, but the homie was in jail. And Trey fell in love with the girl, whatever. So, you know, it's different situations or whatever. But again,
Right.
if you got to sneak, that means I'm in competition with the dead homie. And I'm not really going to like that, because what's going to happen, first, you're going to compare me to him. And then second, every time something go wrong, that's who you're going to be. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be the one day told me, oh, I wish he wasn't never dead, or I wish it was you that was dead. And I'm not finna do that. And then also, nobody wants to be in a situation and be number two. There's some people that can live that lifestyle. There's some cultures that do it. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, here, the American way in the U.S., nobody wants to be number two, especially not to a person resting in heaven.
Well, let me ask you a quick question, since you said nobody wants to be number two, right? But I mean, if you go into the situation understanding that you know what I mean, you might be maybe not number two, but one in the possible. I mean, is there a threshold on how long are you willing to play that position? And if so, would you communicate it, or are you thinking it should automatically be assumed?
Nah, it's just, you know, you gonna understand, because like it could be the same for vice versa. He could have went and did it. Everything here, you know, he could have been the one that snuck out. It'll still be the same case. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you know what? I understand. I love you that much. I'm agreeing with you. Me personally, I might not go have a picnic with you, but you know what? You're going to have a picnic, especially if y'all got kids. If y'all got kids or whatever, you know where you're taking your babies. Holla, wooty woo. You know what I'm saying? I'll see you after for dinner. But at the end of the day, though, you got to lie to me and then go, now that's going to make me feel, I'm going to feel some kind of way, because what's going on through your head every day while we together? You know what I'm saying? Like on the real, like, yo, every time you look at me, you thinking of this guy. Every time you watch a movie, you thinking of this guy. If I take you to the movies, if I take you to the restaurant and you go, this way we used to go and all that. After a while, I'm not going to want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? And you know what? I got to keep it 1,000.
No, keep it 1,000. But at what point do you ask those questions, right? You know what I mean? Because you keep saying, I'm going to think. At some point, stop thinking and just ask the questions. And then, again, it goes back to the open communication, asking those hard questions. Because, I mean, you know, you assume and make an ass out of you. But if you just ask the question, you ain't got to think. You know what I mean? It's, hey, how you feeling? If you think that's the situation, or you don't think you know what I mean? So that way you can work past it. Because sometimes you got to ask people questions so they can walk through it. Sometimes they're just trying to figure it all out inside their head. And if you ask one or two probing questions and just shut up, they might talk for 15 or 25 minutes and then tell you everything that you need to hear, versus everybody assuming about the other side and nobody really coming together and having a conversation, if that make any sense.
Oh yeah, you absolutely right, and hopefully that will be discussed. But I'm stuck on the lie part. Like homie look like he ain't know, so I'm gonna leave it right there. Like, yo, like for real, because like I said, I'm a person. I know when you love a person, again, you will let them get away with murder a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Like you will hide the body, woo, woo. But at the same time, yo, you had to lie to go do that. That's like, now I'm gonna be looking at you some kind of way.
And I think that comes to a person identifying and knowing their value and their self-worth. Because if you know your value and your self-worth, you might let that go once, twice, you know what I mean, but not 3 times. The lady, you know what I mean, you're gonna cut that off. you're not gonna let that continue to happen. But I think, you know, we give people chances, man, and nothing better than the best thing is change behavior. You know, people say all the time that, you know, they'll do something different and they'll be different, but you know, as long as you open minded and then you allow that growth for that change behavior, I think we all on the same page. What about you, Sydney? What you thinking?
I'm Googling to see what I can find just from other circumstances of situations where people have been in relationships with partners that have passed away. And one of the people that kind of stood out to me was this person is mourning a partner that had died 50 years, a partner of 50 years that passed away, and then they ended up getting married and have been with that person for 15 years. And at first, the partner felt like he was being betrayed, but then he realized that her mourning him, the past relationship, was not her betraying him. It was just her honoring the emotions that she was experiencing. So a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing here is fairly in line with kind of what we've been saying. One of the things that has been mentioned a lot is if your partner is not comfortable discussing the past relationship with you, seek counseling. Go to a therapist that you can talk openly with. That way you can kind of work out your feelings in a way that's more neutral. But again, I'm still also with Rob, where it's sus that she's being that deceptive with it. And I'm also still kind of held up by the whole picnic thing. So I'm like, that's a lot of work to like, I can understand wanting to honor somebody that you care about, but and I mean, maybe it's just me because I'm not really a cemetery kind of girl. Like we typically the people in our family have been cremated. And so I find, and also I watch like supernatural and horror movies and stuff. So the idea of like hanging out at a cemetery does not really sit well with me, but I guess that's more on me. But I still find it a bit strange that they're going to go through all that effort to do this picnic, because that's kind of like a date almost. Like that's a date type activity. That's something that you do with other people. And it's a bit interesting that that's what you choose. I mean, maybe that's their thing. Like maybe that's what they used to do together and whatnot. But I'm like, that's a lot of effort just for that. And then it's also still kind of like an intimate setting. And again, maybe it's just me, but like sitting alone at a graveyard is pretty strange in my opinion, especially if you're not being completely upfront with it. Like she should have at least brought it up to him, be like, hey, his birthday's coming up, or like, I'm feeling really bothered by his death. How would you feel if I went to visit the cemetery and explained her plans to him? And I mean, I get it if she was really uncomfortable to talk to him, but then again, it goes all the way back to what the initial point we were making is you have to be open. If you want to maintain that relationship, you have to be as honest as possible, even if it is uncomfortable to you. So at the very, very least, she should be telling him. And if it's not working with him and she wants to continue with that relationship and make it better, she should seek counseling. She should talk to somebody that's able to help her work through her feelings. There are grief counselors. There are other types of counselors that can help you with your memories and how to process emotions and stuff like that. So I think it would be important for her to seek out something like that, because it's very clear that she's not able to process her emotions properly since she's not willing to be open with them. And I imagine that this isn't the first time that she's been kind of deceptive about that. I also imagine she probably downplays how much she feels about this relationship. I can also imagine he probably, like, she could even be the talkative type where all she does is talk about him, which for her partner would be extremely off-putting. It would be almost the equivalent of talking constantly about a living ex and how much you love being with them and stuff like that. Which from an emotional standpoint, I can understand why somebody you're in a relationship with, like, as you both had been saying, you don't want to be last in the relationship and feel like someone else who isn't even here is being put before you and is being favored over you, especially if she's prioritizing the technically non-existent feelings of this ex over the existing feelings of her partner. And it's another point you guys brought up too is the whole cultural aspect, where, like, just for example, like in Mexico, it's very, very common to do a lot to respect the dead. And there's a lot of, not holidays, but like events and, I guess they're holidays, but time periods where people can get together and remember all of the people in their lives that have passed. And there's rituals and whatnot that they do to promote this healing and respect the people that have passed. But we don't really have that in America. A lot more people in America are either atheist or agnostic or some variation of, like, I don't really believe in God, I don't believe in spirits, I don't believe in people in heaven, stuff like that. And so if they even have competing beliefs, that could also make a big difference too in their communication ability. Because if one of them believes in heaven, believes in the continuation of the spirit, and the other person does not believe in that, that can also make it difficult for them to see eye to eye, because spiritually they're not going to have the same understanding and same reflection on that incident, that relationship. So I also would wonder her, like, what their kind of religious or spiritual affiliations were, and if that had any impact on how this is being perceived.
I would prefer people who are in the healing process. I would prefer that you take care of yourself first. Life is short. Time does not stop for nobody. And the world is going to continue on, whether or not you're in the dating pool or you're outside of it. You're going to be okay if you don't date for a little while. There's nothing wrong with being out of that system. It's okay. You do not have to be cuddled up at wintertime. You don't have to have somebody in your face every single second of the day. Everybody wants it, but are you in a space where you can nurture it the way that you need to? There's just some questions that you need to ask yourself before you jump out there with anything. Buying a car, signing off on contracts, shaking the hand of somebody, making business transactions, anything. You always have to have that mindset. Well, I need to think in the future. Am I going to be able to pour into this like I need to? Am I going to be open? Am I going to be available to this person? Or anything for that matter? I need to know that you're going to have my back. Vice versa. If I if I'm willing to risk my life and lay it down for my brother or my sister, I already understand the consequences, the dangers, the ramifications of the choices. I know what I'm getting involved in. It would be an injustice for me to have poured 6 months, 6 years, 20 years into a person and then automatically think that I'm going to meet somebody right next door to me and then they're just going to whisk me away and change my life forever. And I'm just going to be able to forget that any of this right here happened. Like any of this meant nothing. It's impossible. And the damage that it does to you emotionally, spiritually, and mentally, it can't be coaxed. You can't just put ointment on it and expect it just to go away automatically. It don't work like that. Time is the only thing that can help and assist with healing. And you, my friend, have some things that you need to figure out. Now, something that you had said earlier said that I think that needs to be reiterated. Did he make the space for her to be able to open up in that manner? So let me paint this picture. I see somebody I find attractive, right? This is all for the street. We hit it off. We set up a date to go out. I'd say by the second date, the first one was cool. By the second date, I'm asking questions, more complex questions, because I'm a complex thinker. I don't like simplistic dialogue. We actually have to do this dance. It's communicating is a dance. It's a special type of tango. It helps you determine if this person has the type of personality that's going to align with yours, or if this is just something where you're passing by at some point. I'll tell you, if I'm even in that space, I'll tell you, look, I'm not really trying to take nobody serious. I can't. I would love to, but my heart is still somewhere else. I haven't really figured out how to really fully come out of that yet. And it would be irresponsible for me to bring you into my world knowing that I can't articulate your love language in the ways that's necessary, because I'm definitely going to demand you to do it for me, and you might not be able to do it. I might not even allow you to do it because you got that wall. I can't say if he made it that type of relationship. It feels unfortunate because I look at the story and it's like, well, he cared enough about her to propose to her, right? So there had to be some level of communication there. But oftentimes what I find in situations like this is a lot of y'all be getting proposed to and getting married, but you really don't be knowing the person at all. You think you know them. You got the jitters and the butterflies and stuff like that, but do you really know them? Do you know them demons? Have you danced with those? Have you ever sat there when the person crashed out on you and everybody around you and they tried to burn everything down and you had to help them put the fire out? Have you ever gone to war with them when they were going through their spiritual and mental stuff? Have you ever been in the crossfires of things that wasn't directed towards you, and then you had to figure out, well, this wasn't really about me. This was about something else. I understand that. I know this isn't targeting me. Let me acquiesce to the things that she is dealing with based on stuff that happened to her 20 years ago. Have you been in those type of scenarios with the men and the women that you're dealing with? You probably haven't. Most of these relationships be superficial. They be right here in your face, but they don't have no real depth or substance to it. So I do think a part of this is him not actually understanding her in the ways that he should. And I don't think either one of them really respected each other enough to actually, I don't know, create that system that benefits them both. I yield the mic.
Yo, let me get that. Hey, look, absolutely, man. You gotta take care of your mental health first, right? Just like these these wonderful people in the chat is killing my ass right now. But you gotta make sure you take care of your mental health. In order to preserve yourself and be ready for a relationship, you got to make sure you go out there and you seek that guidance. You go see the appropriate subject matter experts, because the problem we have, man, again, is just trying to muscle through, and you gotta talk to somebody. You can't expect somebody else to know how you feel. Everybody, at the end of the day, we all go through things differently. Everybody has emotions. And that's the biggest issue, is everything we talked about has been handled emotionally versus logically on both sides. So you can't fault somebody to how they react emotionally, because like everybody's mentioned on the panel, is everybody has their own traumas. And if you haven't dealt with your trauma, then you're going to deal with something completely different. And it might not be something that somebody has seek the appropriate help and guidance. They might not appreciate the way you react to your trauma. So that's something that you definitely need to take into consideration. And think about it, when you get on the airplane, they tell you to take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on first before you try to help anybody else around you. So the same thing, with your mental health or your mental well-being, make sure you are taken care of first. Make sure you got a solid foundation. And once you go from there, you can build from there. So, Rob, what you got, baby?
Hey, I'm telling you straight up. First, I learned that you can't change nobody, especially at our age. Anybody want to change? The hardest people to change is adults, because once we reset in our ways, we don't change until we ready. Usually when we frustrated, what we doing, or we've been doing the same thing, not getting no results, then we change our behavior. Love, whichever way it go, we make mistakes. But when we figure out that's the person we want, if we get a second chance, then we make the adjustments, and we make sure we don't never do that again. So I'm still on the withholding part. Maybe you might not have lied or whatever, but if this is what you're doing, this is something you could have told me. You know what I'm saying? I don't have no problem, whatever, because I love you, right? So like I said, I might have dropped you off to the picnic. You know what I mean? I take you to Publix and get you a sandwich for your picnic, buy your chips. But at the same time, let me know first. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, okay, if I know that you're still grieving this person, or if y'all got some kind of ties, or y'all was linked into the family, it's not going to be easy to let it go. But as long as you still love me, after a while, maybe you'll see me. But if I got to be competing with this guy, I'm going to feel some kind of way. I was also thinking something else to where it's kind of like on the lines to where you will let a person ride to a certain extent and do what they want, but then if it becomes disrespectful, then it'll be bad for your relationship, and it'll be bad for you mentally, right? Because a lot of times when you love a person, if you don't have your self-value, your self-worth or your self-respect, you will let this person be doing stuff like this and that. You'll be chasing them around, and that'll drive you crazy. And certain times people will kill themselves, you know what I'm saying? Because they're like, why this person don't want me, da 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 da. So to a certain extent, like y'all said, first you gotta vet a person out. And that's what I was thinking, that people don't be caring a lot of times people don't care. I don't care who was in front of me. I don't care what's going on. It's me now. It's my time now. And that's cool to a certain extent. But for the most part, now that I know what I know, you got to vet people out for years to come. You got to get to know them. I'm like you, Deep, now. Like, what you know, past, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? Who was your family? Who was you with? Where was you? Where were you? What were you doing for the last 5, 10 years? I want to know everything. And then also knowing that people change every day. How you gonna be feeling later? So like I said, I'm thinking of Pac right now, to where they have a couple relationships or whatever that's supposedly been on for a while, Tupac that is, to where these people was coming out 20 years later like, yo, that was my first love. And then at the end of the day, Pac was on everything. So like, you mean to tell me 20 years we've been together? We've been together 20 years. You was thinking about this guy the whole time this guy's dead. So I don't care who it is. You could talk and say you don't care this or that. But at the same time, you're not gonna want to be in that. You ain't gonna be the one. You ain't gonna want to be the guy on TV like, yo, yeah, well, I love Pac. He was my second choice. You know what I'm saying? When you pouring your all into this person. So, you know, skid or not, whichever way it went, at the end of the day, I felt like you could have been honest with me, and then I could make a decision on my end to see how I'm gonna deal with it.
I think the problem is you don't want to rob somebody of the option. Give me the option to decide if I want to be here or not. And when you take that from me, what you're basically saying is there's a level of respect that is missing, because you can't possibly respect me and allow me to pour into you with all of what I have, all of my resources and energy. And then I just out of the blue just find out, oh, by the way, the person that I thought that I was going to spend the rest of my life with is no longer here. And I ceremoniously go to them every year to pretty much commemorate their passing. You might have came off better just telling me that sooner. So I don't even think that is about ego or pride. Something that you had said earlier, Trail, you was asking, I guess this was a scenario where they were actually, or if Rob was in the position of actually dealing with the person, how much would he tolerate? I don't want no parts of it in general. I don't want none of it. I would rather be your friend and help you get through it rather than to even put myself in that situation. The heart wants what the heart wants. I still mourn family that has been gone 16, 17 years. So, I mean, I could never put a woman in a position where she's questioning whether or not she has to compete or try to outdo somebody else. Nah, if I'm with you, I'm going to be with you wholeheartedly because of who you are, and nobody can replicate. They can't cook like you. They don't have your laugh. They don't do this. They don't have the same quirks and blah blah blah. I am not about to sit here and use you as a substitute. And I think the dude felt like he was a substitute. Nobody wants to feel like that at all. And if she really felt like, put it this way, and I'm gonna yield the mic. If she really felt like that was her guy, and there was no need for him to feel threatened or uncomfortable, then she should have just told him off the rip what it was. Why is it so difficult? Matter of fact, why would it be, if there's no danger or no threat? Why not just say it? It's harmless, right? I mean, that's a part of you. I done had secrets told to me. I've had people tell me things about them that they are ashamed of, that traumatize them for life. But that's a part of you. I said I'm interested in you as a person. So if I really mean that, then that means I'm going to have to take what come with it. Now that's case by case. Trail, you might not want to deal with that. You might have your limitations. Rob might have his limitations. Sadie might have her limitations. It's a case by case, but give me the opportunity to decide if I want to or not. I yield the mic. If anybody got anything they want to throw in.
I'll just reiterate kind of the points that we've all made. It really should be based on your own relationship with that person. If you're in a situation that is similar, you really have to work it out between you and that person. I know a lot of people use social media and the internet and whatnot to research to see what other people do. But I do caution people in seeking other people's advice and other relationships. While it can give you a good idea of things that you can do and ways to kind of work with it and kind of insight into potentially the other person's feelings, it is up to you and your partner to come to an agreement and to find a way through whatever that problem is. And there also is no shame in you finding an impasse and not being able to work past it. Because again, everybody's different, and some people might just not be able to get past that feeling that they're being put second. And there should be really no shame on either person, because if a person is still dealing with their grief and the other person's not ready to work with somebody that's going through grief of a partner, there should be no shame in either end. And it would be difficult to go through, but I think it would be better to make your peace in private, or like do what you need to do to get over that relationship, than try and force a relationship through that isn't working, that isn't good for either of you. So I think overall, again, it's a case-by-case basis. You really have to find whatever works for you and your partner, and if you do decide to proceed and do decide to work with each other to make progress in that department, have patience, because again, grieving can take a long time. It's not a process that you can rush a person through. And if you rush yourself through the grieving process, often it leads the grieving process to be incomplete, and it can cause problems down the road. So patience is incredibly important in this situation. Understanding is very important, and honesty is very important. And I think really that's where this relationship went wrong. It's not the fact that she was grieving her partner. It's the fact that she was not upfront with the grieving process that she was going through. They're also probably on the male partners end, there was a lack of receptiveness and understanding. Maybe he wasn't as approachable as he could be. And so that's something to keep in mind, that if you are in a relationship with somebody, you have to be open and sensitive to how they might be feeling, because grief can be incredibly hard for people, especially if it's a partner that they were in with a long time, or if they were very close with, even if it's not even a partner, even if it's just a friend or something like that. And again, if you need help and your partner is not able to offer that, but you want to continue with the relationship, seeking counseling is never something to be ashamed of. Counseling can help people in a lot of situations, not just grieving, but having a party who is neutral and can help you, who has the skills and expertise to kind of walk you through, understand your emotions, and kind of, one of the nice things is they're an outside perspective that can help you notice things that you might not notice yourself. or that your partner might not notice in you. So that can be highly beneficial to you and your relationship. Even relationship counseling can also be beneficial. But don't be afraid to seek outside help. Don't be afraid to be honest. And again, if it's not working for you, don't be afraid to choose to go separate ways if it's better for your mental health.
Hey, that was awesome, Sydney. Just to kind of piggyback on a few things is at the end of the day, like she said, there's a place that you can go, but there's also tools and resources and books that you can read. People have done case studies and lessons learned on these type of functions and events. So it's approach each situation as a learning situation, and especially the difficult situations. You want to learn from those, how you can get better. You can look at it as an opportunity to get to know whomever that person is that you're helping out that's grieving, to get to know them on a deeper level. Perhaps that your relationship might have been, you thought it was great, and then this unfortunate event happened. You can take this as an opportunity to dig deeper. There might have, 9 times out of 10, there's some things that they haven't discussed with you over the course of your relationship that's probably still triggering things and you don't even know about it. But take this opportunity to learn. Ask the hard questions, and then approach conflict with curiosity rather than judgment. Don't judge somebody. Be curious. If you're curious, that means you're willing to grow and you're willing to learn. But if you're judging somebody, you're kind of using previous situations and some other things that you may have went through. And so you may approach it with that defensive mechanism that you unintentionally don't even know that you're doing. And you're definitely not going to try to hear that from the other participant in the situation, because you're probably on the defensive, they're probably on the defensive. So again, with curiosity, which means you're inquisitive, you want to learn more, you're asking questions, and you're open. And then this enables the person to grow and then develop those stronger relationships, because essentially 1 or 2 of you at the bottom, and now it's all about the rebuilding stages. So you can choose to be a part of that rebuilding stage, even though you weren't part of that destroying stage. And then you can build a better and solid foundation from that point on. So completely up to you. You don't have to do any of it, but just keep those things in mind and be open-minded when trying to help somebody going through grieving. And then keep in mind, too, at some point, you also may be grieving yourself. That's all I got.
Bang, 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 bang.
Flat out. Yeah, I'm with y'all. I'm gonna piggyback off what you said, D. If some people don't like to be alone, and that's a problem that becomes a problem. So if you still grieving like that or whatever, it's going, well, you gotta be sneaking around or whatever, you probably don't need to be in a relationship, one. Because if you say you love that person and y'all going in after a while, you gotta be honest with that person. And something as simple as that don't seem like that would have been trivial, where you say, you know what, I do this memorial thing, like you said, Coach, every year. Will you be okay with that? Because if a person love you, they wouldn't mind that, I don't think. Also, you gotta remember, you can't change people. And you can't, once you in that relationship, you say after a while, again, you really can't be doing things out of pocket. So I say with this, stay alone until you're ready. Grieve however long you want, because there's nothing wrong with dating. There's nothing wrong. People do it all the time. I don't want to be exclusive, or you know what, I ain't really messing with nobody. We're going to be friends with benefits or whatever, but I'm not going to move in or do this or that until I get over whatever I'm going through. Keep your stuff private for the most part, as much as you can. And do whatever y'all can to grow together. whichever way the case, if you love a person, you might let that slide, like you said, but fool me twice, then it becomes a problem. So I'm with you, Coach, to where, okay, you know what? This, it could have all been funny to where it's like, hey, you know what? You could have just told me. You know what I'm saying? But if you gotta be sneaking around a lot, then that's something you gotta work out that I can't help.
Maybe it's a closure, memory, guilt, unfinished conversations, honoring a loss, but nonetheless, how you go about it is the key, especially in a new relationship. Just in response to that right there, my final thoughts before we close out. The reason why you should refrain from jumping into stuff right away is because eventually you're, like Rob just said, eventually you're going to have to answer for it. It's no different than eating unhealthy. There's a matter of time before that stuff is going to start affecting you, and you're going to have to go see somebody for it, and they're going to tell you to change your diet up, change up what you're drinking, all that. Take care of you above everything else. I promise you, you'll thank yourself later. You want what the next person wants, but nobody is getting a fair shake if one party is not 100% and the other one is. Shout out to everybody that pulled up today. Everybody in the chats from Squish. To the names that I haven't seen until tonight, I appreciate y'all for hanging out. Good, bad, or indifferent. Shout out to Rob. Shout out to Sydney. Shout out to Coach. This was a pretty dope one, bro. I love the wisdom here. I absolutely love it. Communication seems to be the main theme, though. Don't know why we haven't figured that out yet, but yeah, I hope whatever's going on with them, they heal from it, they build from it if they stay together or go separate ways. And yeah, we about to get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. Be safe on the road. Don't let the work week stress you out. Don't let the pressure stress you out. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed one.
See you tomorrow.